Hey, welcome everyone back to another episode of Energy Unleashed with Suzanne and Kim. Hello, Kim.
Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Suzanne. How are
How
you
you
doing
doing?
today?
I'm hanging in there. I'm curious what you're asking me today. We're flipping the table. Yay! I like to do
Act-
that.
Actually, I brought it up today because if you follow several different people on social media that are healers, light workers, political, like all the different things, there are so many different messages out there about what is happening right now in the world, in our country, but also for us physically, emotionally, through all of the different changes that are happening with the, sunburst and the Schumann resonance and with the energy that's hitting us, what Mother Earth is doing right now. She's going through her stuff. But I feel like it's really difficult for me, it's been really difficult lately to really hone in on me and what makes sense and what doesn't. And so I wanted to bring that up because, I don't think it has to be a long conversation, but it's really frustrating. Some of it,
Yeah.
some of the messages are really icky. And I know we need to look at icky and we need to do things, but also, like, how do we tame this down? Because
Yeah.
it can really take over fast, in my
Well,
opinion.
and icky is such a Minnesota word, which I love, by the way, but
Yeah.
icky is not fun. But it is really the I guess the garbage that we're floating through right now. I totally agree. I think it's a great thing to unleash it just a little bit in terms of I typically have about, oh my goodness, maybe 17 people on my subscribe on my YouTube channels that I will float through. And I find myself, in fact, I just did it this morning. A lot of times in the morning, I will go out and have my coffee on the porch, as long as it's still nice in Minnesota. Have my coffee on the porch and do the quiet thing. And then after the quiet thing, I'll just scroll through. And oftentimes I will pick out my so-called favorites and just get caught up on what I feel is pertinent. And I find myself in the last weeks just listening to somebody for like 2 minutes and then click, 2 minutes, click, 2 minutes, click, because it's either all the same shit.
Great.
It's just same, right? I mean,
Yeah.
oh my God, it's going to be a bad month. Oh my God, if you're doing this, it's going to be a good month, that kind of thing. And I'm just so tired of hearing the same crap from the same people. It feels like they're regurgitating everything. And I think it's fun for us because I can actually monitor real life people. We can bring up things that are pertinent because my clients are coming in
Yeah.
with the issue of the time. And so it's not just regurgitating, it's really identifying what people are struggling with. And this is one of them. So I tell my people to, if they choose to, really use your body to say, you know what, I don't need this one today. And do not, I mean, I'm not kidding. I turn them off after 3 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes. I mean, it's just, if it's not resonating, get rid of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I have no problem just turning it off and jumping to another one. And sometimes I'm doing three and four. And sometimes I will really like one, but it'll be like an hour 20 or whatever. And I'll just log it for later when I actually have time to commit to it too. So I'm very picky and very choosy right now. Are you finding that, or are you just not doing it?
Oh no, I was at that point yesterday where I'm like, you know what? I'm just shutting it all off. I really
Yeah.
got to that point because I am picking and choosing, definitely.
Yeah.
And I thought, gosh, what is everybody else doing? Because it's really frustrating to hear the same, in my opinion, BS over and over because we're co-creating, what
Hmm.
we're doing, and it's really hard to hear some of those. It's chaotic. It's going to get worse. Your
Yay.
your
Yeah.
body's going to feel so much worse. I'm like, how? What?
How much worse can it feel? Yeah, I think and here's the deal. I mean, we are co-creators, and this is a dangerous and slippery slope in terms of the collective. When we are constantly hearing that it's going to be a shit month, we're going to make it a shit month because that's what we do.
Mhm.
And be very clear that if you're just jumping on the bandwagon, you're pouring gasoline onto that bonfire so that everybody has the shit month. And so we really want to be aware of how we hold space or not hold space to what is truly divine for us. If I don't feel like it's a crappy month, I get to hold that space with nothing attached to that. But man, if I'm pummeling myself with message after message that it's going to be crappy, I'm going to be worn down into that. So be careful on the news when it is all in this barrage. Now, what often happens too, Kim, is because we've had the Charlie Kirk thing, everything comes in a wave. Okay. So we'll have something happen that's positioned in the social media and regular media, and it's positioned for the flood. Okay. That's part of the programming of social media. It's positioned for the barrage of negativity. That's how this programming works. And so if we're ignorant enough to fall for that and then keep pouring on gasoline, that's shame on us because we are moving that co-creation timeline into more garbage because we're falling for it. So those that are really courageous and stand in neutral and or stand on the other side, those are the ones that I listen to when the barrage comes because there has to be a big mix, not just all the same waterfall of negativity. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because I obviously the Charlie thing has turned into such a there's more going on behind the scenes than anybody realizes,
For
um
sure.
but the attention that that brought, and then it's the distractions around that that
Yes.
start to really get to be too much. And
And this is you're really good at that as we talk about these a lot. What is the truth going on behind the distraction? Because if I do have this waterfall of negativity and everybody's jumping on it, again, I feel like everybody's head is focused this way. Well, what's going on over here is very, very important. And it's very hard to drag your head back here if you are in that again, that barrage of the same messaging. It's very difficult. So
right.
now let's flip it completely different. Those barrage of negativity is one thing, but fear is another thing in terms of, I've got the prediction for next year and it's all horrible. That's really putting the fear programming far out. That's putting it, I mean, who can possibly this day and age predict anything in a year or 2 years? I mean, yeah, we have prophecies or we have, expected kind of outcomes of things, but really, we didn't. I mean, I always bring it back to the COVID year. I mean, in 36 hours, our lives were completely different. Nobody knows anything anymore.
And that
And
wasn't, there was no prediction that I had seen
no,
around my life
yeah,
turning upside down. You know what?
yeah. And in 48 more hours, you were stuck in your house. I mean, what is that? That's not even the thing anybody knew about. So that to me is always the peak example of we don't have any idea. So be very careful, in my opinion, that you're listening to so-called predictions because that's very difficult. I
Mhm.
guess another thing I'm having a really hard time with because and I'm bashing my own industry here, which is I guess I'm bashing myself. I have a really hard time with a lot of this new kind of like cool, I'm a remote viewer and I can go and do anything I
Yeah.
want to and see anything I want to. I mean, I've popped out of my body my whole life. I've been able to astral things as well, but all these people that are now coming forward that, 2 years ago they were working in a restaurant and now they're an expert remote viewer. And I mean, get great. I mean, maybe you do have all those skills, but be careful of that stuff.
Mhm.
And also be careful if that so-called remote viewer is pulling you in as a member or even a listener or an audience and doing remote viewing too, because these are things that can really get out of control very quickly in that astral plane. And people are not really taking a lot of this stuff, in my opinion, as seriously in being trained and understanding and knowing how that energy field works with protection, etc. And really understanding that I'm getting valid, true information versus just what's being fed to me. I think these are all really dangerous points that are coming out right now.
I agree with you. There are several kind of newbies out there that, you watch and they're out there activating all kinds of things. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
are you sure you're doing it for the right reasons? Are you sure that
Mhm.
it's for the good of Mother Earth, the good of human and the animal kingdom and all of the things involved?
Yeah.
I just sometimes get really, just skeptical about what's really going on there.
And periodically, I get reached out to from people that are either doing, radio shows or TV shows or blogs or documentaries and I get like maybe a side interview to just kind of get caught up with some information. And it astounds me when someone is doing something that will then be presented to the general public and or the genre public, let's say it that way, like the spiritualism public. Um, and and in 2 seconds they have no idea what I'm talking about. Meaning, shouldn't you know about, multidimensionality if you're presenting this? Shouldn't you know about, a little bit of? And I think this is an indicator too that people are putting things together. And I love that they're reaching out to other people that are experts. I think that's part of the deal, right? I mean, you're doing your research. But it's understanding that this is layers and layers and layers and years and years and years of understanding. And I'm not knocking newbies, trust me. I mean, we had a conversation just recently about my 3-year-old granddaughter who is brilliantly far beyond her 65-year-old grandmother, right? I
It's
mean,
amazing.
we
Yeah.
it isn't an age thing necessarily. It's an igniting thing of codes and information. So it isn't necessarily, you know, value system of I have more knowledge than you or I have more years than you. But I think you can get the feeling of this just doesn't feel quite as stable in information as maybe this does. And that's what we're, I guess, pressing today in this conversation is use your own inner knowing to say, yeah, that sounds like the same old crap, or that sounds a little, hoity-toity for what you're really talking about. I'm not sure. Or, there's a million ors there. Just use your body,
Yeah. And
right?
it would be really great if, similar to what you're doing, is putting out information on how to
Hmm.
through these things and how you use your body, how you decipher what's good, what's not for you. Yeah, all the different things because it's just constant. It seems like lately, unless you just really shut things off and go outside and, hug your tree for a while. So,
Well, and Vibe Tribe for me, my online membership, and you can look it up on my website at S. Worthley at any time. But Vibe Tribe for me is a really good group of people that are willing
mhm.
to study and actually look into the concept of how energy works. And we can talk really flaky about concept. We can even talk flaky about chakras and auras and all that stuff and make it. I mean, I'll never forget when I went to Sedona the first time and the person told me, "Oh, I can just do this with your chakras." And I mean, I'm like, and I played dumb and I'm like, "What?" So I mean, you can run against anything and everything out there. And I toyed with this guy for a while because he was so silly in terms of he was going to completely fix me and all these things. And I'm like, wow, I didn't, I've been doing this for 20 years. I didn't even know I could do that. So it was silly. It was goofy. It was all marketing and promo and push. But when we've got people like on Vibe Tribe and we have a monthly webcast, I mean, I'm going to scan over here kind of slowly so I don't make anybody throw up.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is just an example of some of it looks like a mess right now, but this is the teaching for, like a 40-minute period of multi-dimensional energies and how it works and how our souls, move the energy and what that has to do with contracts and multi-dimensions and past lives, etc. These are structural things that are really serious out there, and we can get caught up in a big fat, exacerbated story of how this all works, or we can learn the infrastructure. We can understand the holographic energies. We can understand why this is about personal responsibility. And that's a heck of a lot different than, hey, let's all go remote under the Vatican tonight and see if we can, blow it up. I mean, that's just it's scary what people are doing out there, I guess.
I agree. Oh my gosh. Thank you for going into this because I was really, I believe I can't be the only one out there that is questioning a lot of this that's going on and looking for, more of the healing, light working, moving forward on my spiritual journey versus, fear, 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 and, the messages that it's going to get worse before better because that really messes with
Right.
the psyche, man.
Right. And the ongoing, this is never going to get better is really difficult also. And
Mhm.
so watch your own self and take a break. We have every right to just completely shut it off. It's like sometimes we just shut off the phone and the computer and we go away for a week. It's very similar to that. Like I said, I have like probably 17 to 20 people on my subscribe list, and I'm down to maybe only listening to one or two periodically because it's just
Yeah.
not working for me right now. And I pulled up somebody that I used to listen to quite consistently, and I'm like, nope. And I did that with about three of them just recently because of the negativity and the ongoing message and the struggle and I don't need that. I got enough of that in my 3D life. I don't need you to be telling me that. I want to know that there are skill sets and things that I can do to paradigm shift. I want to take my power back. I want to, be able to see the programming. And I think what I would really like to offer any listener is look for the programming, look for the deception, look for the illusion in everything in life because it will give you a better idea of what you're navigating because most of it is illusion. Most of it is, really about look over here. It's deception. And once we can make peace with that, we can navigate it with almost a sense of humor and we don't have to be so scared. So I had a friend over the other night who I haven't seen in a really long time, and we were just kind of sitting around having some drinks at night, and it was a lot of, I'm so scared about this world. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. And I'm like, oh, good God. That's just seriously, again, gasoline on the bonfire,
Right.
watch that stuff. And I love her to pieces, but I don't consent to that. I will not consent to that. And I'm not living in rainbows and bunnies either. That's not what I'm saying. You want to be educated, you want to be aware, you want to peek down the rabbit hole, but you just don't want to stay down there either. So there's a balance here.
It is such a balance, and it's just that part of it, the keeping the balance for me was just getting a little more tricky. And it was taking more work, honestly,
Hmm.
more from me to really figure that out. And but I like the idea of taking a break, from
Hmm.
not putting my head in the sand, still understanding what's going on, but just taking a break, especially from certain messengers or healers.
And
Uh,
and not even just that, take the break from regular media as well. However,
mhm,
watch the regular media also and watch the government and our, so-called leaders because they are the ones that are sticking the chess pieces in the places that then social media moves the chess piece. It's fascinating. This is just such an incredible thing to watch from a higher perspective. You look down at that chessboard and you're like, holy crap, the government just moved three pieces. And now the media and social media just came in and moved it all the way over here. And we're already in checkmate. And it's going to happen because why? Because we all got manipulated. And
mhm,
when you start to see that manipulation, you can either then go into even more fear, which some people are doing, which I don't suggest because then again, you're feeding it. But watch that manipulation so that you can stand in your sovereignty and say that's not acceptable.
right.
And there's so many things that are happening under the table that we're being blindsided with that it's like, wow. And watch what the unsaid messaging is. Watch for the separation, watch for the camps, this camp versus that camp. Watch for how people are calling out for, I'm better than you and you're worse than me. All of this stuff is a actual tactical move for separating people because we are weaker when we're separate. And
Mhm,
that is a very high end manipulation and programming is separation. And so anytime I can find oneness, I will go back into that so-called astral plane or the field of consciousness on the collective level and do my best as a healer on my own to stick in, oneness, completeness, unity. All of those words are very important to counteract that gasoline everybody's pouring on for fear.
mhm. Yeah, the fear is really big. And just
Yeah,
people it seems like there's just so much sickness, illness, things going on around that. I think the fear just takes a toll, definitely.
sure, sure, it
Mhm,
does. And again, self-responsibility. If someone is sick, they maybe want to look at why they have manifested that dis-ease into the point of taking out the dash.
mhm,
We are the ones that go from dis-ease in our chakra system with that fear-based energy trapped inside of us to taking out the dash to disease. And that is how we leave planet, right? So and I'm not saying everybody has the capacity to self-heal because maybe that is your journey, is to leave planet, and that's okay too. But finding that with ease and grace versus fear is really a big difference.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
This was good. Thank you for
Yeah, I
thank you.
just wanted, I think it's great. We can keep it short and sweet and let anybody think the way that they want to. And again, no rules on this. And I mean, toss it if you don't like it anyway. But watch, like you said, watch your so-called social media providers or mouthpieces and watch for them in terms of their negativity because we are human. And anybody that channels, or anybody that gets information from higher sources, remember it's coming through their human vehicle. And if their human
Mhm.
vehicle is really struggling, their messages are going to be tainted. That's how it works, period. There's no way you can be so completely clean, So, and
That is
watch,
a really great point
you know,
because,
yeah,
a lot of these people, that are channeling, um, you wonder because over the years, there have been channelers that you can tell something's changed
it's
where their
right
messages have
here.
changed, right?
It's their eyes. Watch their eyes. Yep.
Yeah, it's totally
Yep.
changed. And I have dropped many just because
Yep.
the messages weren't resonating with me at all. So,
I'll give you a little insight to that. It's usually the eyes where I can see the difference, and it is the flatness in the messaging. There's a monotoneness, and there isn't a joy factor pushing behind it. And everything doesn't have to be happy messages. Don't get me wrong here. We can channel some really kind of scary things to get our butts in gear to change things. I get that. But watch the messaging if it's consistently kind of pancake flat in not any joy or any hope or anything, because then you're seeing this presentation come through the channel of that is when I believe they're getting jumped or hijacked or programmed, or they are becoming a mouthpiece unbeknownst to them or beknownst to them for other messengers. And so a lot of times, if you don't have the wherewithal in your own individual discernment, you don't know that you just got like taken over to be a messenger for something that isn't divine. I
mm,
know what that feels like. It happened to me years ago and it was creepy. And I never was sticking anything out at that time, but I could feel and I could hear voices in my head that I knew were not, I could hear voices in my head, but I mean, I could hear the voices in my head for messaging and teaching things that were not of full alignment for my belief systems. And my body screamed at it immediately. And I let it ride and I played with it for about a week. And I knew every ounce of me knew this wasn't divine. I knew it was programmed. I knew it was AI. I knew it was everything. And if you don't have that skill set to go, oh hell no, it'll jump in right there and make itself very comfortable in your vehicle and it'll become normal. So
mhm.
yeah,
Oh gosh, wow.
yeah.
Well, I know. I was like, oh my gosh, how do you get rid of that? But anyway, that's
Well, what you
wonderful.
do is you stand in your sovereignty, and I'm not joking. I stood in my own home, and actually, it happened up at the cabin as well. And it happened for about maybe a week to a week and a half, where every time that vibrational frequency would come near me, and it was like foreboding, almost like a kind of like a icky, snaky,
I
dark
was gonna say like slithery.
slithery kind of like and dark foreboding kind of like if you saw a scary movie and all the dark comes out of the woods. That's kind of the sensation, and at least for me. And every time it would come, I would stand up in my sovereignty, whether I was standing in the middle of the kitchen or in my bedroom or whatever, and I literally would stand up to it and scream out, I do not consent, I command you to leave, blah blah blah, and all the things I use for my own personal protection. You can make that stuff up. There's no real rule. But me, it's like, no, absolutely screaming it out loud, holding my space, locking myself down again. That's training. And, I'm not knocking new people again, like I said, but man, after you have that happen over a 15-year span, on and off, and you have really some dark things come your way, you learn some really strict protocols before you're activating anything
Mhm.
or opening anything or bringing people on journeys or anything because you are responsible to hold that space.
Right.
So,
Right. Oh my gosh, that's so important.
yeah.
Mm.
It's a big ball game and it's only getting bigger because the bigger you get, the bigger they get, right?
Yeah.
And that's not to scare anybody. It's
No.
kind of exciting because the bigger this gets, the bigger you get in terms of your light. So that doesn't have to be scary. That can be super exciting for you to be a light holder,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
Yeah. All these experiences are building towards, what
mhm.
this is and what it's meant to be. So,
And I want to leave this one and round it down with a really profound statement. In my first book, my Energy Healer's Book of Dying, I did have a story in there about a dementia patient that I worked with during hospice. And I was fully telepathically talking with him. And I was kind of a smart ass going, well, why, if you're just sitting here in a wheelchair or in a bed, non-communicative, basically drooling into a bib. I mean, it was just heartbreaking to see these people just like completely gone. And I kind of flippantly and nasty said, well, why even here then? Why are you hanging in that body? I mean, if this body isn't even doing anything, why don't you just go? I was very confused back then. And he very gently put me in my place, very humbly, with this concept of because I am still here to hold a point of light. And I was like, oh shit, that what? And then I thought, oh my goodness. And I will never forget, I can even feel it in my heart as I say it again, and that's been years. I oftentimes look up at the sky at night, especially at the cabin when we have such a barrage of light, meaning stars. And I think maybe those are humans or whatever beings on other planetary systems or other star spaces or timelines or dimensional fields that are holding a point of light. Because if we're all holding light, we're creating that holographic infrastructure of whatever. We're still creating, we're still co creating. So until these bodies are gone from this particular vehicle, we're still holding a point of light with consciousness. And let's never forget that because we're all doing it. So maybe get a better idea of what you're doing within your point of light.
That's a great point. I because maybe it is you're just holding a point of light. This is your
Hmm.
purpose to be here. You
Hmm.
know, and it's not a just, it is really important to keep that, to own it and keep it going.
And what is the fuel you're using to anchor that? Is it fear-based fuel or love?
Yes, right,
Period.
right.
You got two
That,
choices. So.
that's the roller coaster, man.
Well, that was fun. Good. That was
Yeah,
fun. I like when
yeah.
we throw one out. That makes me happy. Okay, cool. We'll take what resonates, everybody. Toss what doesn't. Hopefully that you maybe take home a tidbit from that and hit the subscribe or share button if you like, or the thumbs up. That'd be cool too. And it'd be fun for a comment. So until next time, on behalf of Kim and I, Cosmic Cosmos.
Goodbye.